In this video, we're going to install WordPress manually, which does take a little bit longer than the so-called instant methods, but there are more security measures built into this method, and this way you're always going to be installing the most recent version of WordPress. But first, to keep things organized, go ahead and create a folder on your desktop relating to this WordPress site. Name it whatever you want. Inside this folder, you should keep things like your images, your text or spreadsheet documents that contain the login credentials, your backups, anything related to this particular WordPress site. You should have one place on your computer to go to find all those goodies. Okay, that's out of the way. Now, there's basically four things we're going to do to create our WordPress site. We're going to go to WordPress.org and download the most recent installation files. Then number two, we're going to unzip those files and upload them to our server. Now at this point, I need to assume that you've already got a domain name and a web hosting service. And you should also determine at this point, are you going to be uploading or installing WordPress on your root directory or on a subdirectory? Meaning, whenever you type in the URL to your WordPress site, is it going to be mydomain.com? Boom, there's your WordPress site. Or is it going to be in a subdirectory where you type in mydomain.com/blog? Either way you want to do it is totally fine because the installation process is exactly the same. It's just where are you going to upload these files to? Number three, we're going to build a database. And number four, we're going to add our database to our WordPress site. And that's basically it. So let's go ahead and get to work. Now I've already taken the liberty of going to WordPress.org and downloading the most recent installation files. And I want to point out that in a zipped up format, it's just a little bit over 6 megabytes. But whenever we uncompress those, as you can see as I hover over this, it's almost 17 megabytes. And most every installation process recommends that you upload these files here. So I open that up. And this will take twice as long than if you were to upload a single zip file. But if you're going to do that fast way, as I'm about to show you, you have to send the right zip file. So you cannot send the zip file that you downloaded from WordPress.org. That's not going to work. So first, unzip them. And I do that in my Windows machine by right-clicking and then left-clicking on Extract All. Navigate to the location on my computer where I want those files to be extracted to. Click on Extract and we're good. And then you come up with something like this. Then open that folder and expose all the files. Then select the top file or folder in this case. Hold the Shift key down on your keyboard, select the bottom file, and that selects all the files. And then just pick one of these files in here, it does not matter, and then right-click and then compress, or in my case, send to compressed folder. It'll zip all these guys up into the one file right here, and that's what I'm going to upload to my server. But first I want to point out that if you click on this README file, it opens up in your browser, and this gives you some more installation tips, updating tips, and so on. So when you get a chance, check that out. Now we head over to our file manager in our cPanel control panel and upload that zip file. Click on Upload, click on Choose File, navigate to the location of that zip file we just created, select that, click on Open, and it's going to begin the upload process. And while it's doing that, I'm going to come on back over here to cPanel and create our database. So scroll on down till you get to the Databases panel, click on MySQL Databases, and if I'm going too fast for you, well, that's what the pause button's for. Now we want to create our database here, create a user here, and then tie the two together down here. And I'll get to that here in just a second. But first, let's create our database. Now you can put whatever you want in here, and if you make a mistake, don't worry, because they will tell you in big red letters. Click on Create Database, copy this. But whenever you do this, make sure you do not copy that period at the end because that's not part of the name. I'm going to go ahead and paste this on a document that I got stashed away here. That's going to hold the database name, the database username, the database password, and a new database prefix. But I'm getting ahead of myself here. Let's go ahead and paste this right here. It'll all make sense here in a second. Oh, and by the way, this stuff here, these are the username and the password for my WordPress administrator area. Again, I'll get to that here in just a second. So click on Go Back, come on down and create our user. And I'm going to use the same name for my username as I did for the database name. So I just want to copy this guy right here. Now you don't have to. You can name your username whatever you want. But this is just a habit I've gotten into. Now we want to create a strong password. And I do that by using the password generator. Copy this. Check that box saying that you did copy that. Click on Use Password. Click on Create User. And I'm going to paste that password right here. And remember, my database name and username are exactly the same. So we're good there. Click on Go Back. Now we need to tie the two together. If you've got multiple databases and multiple users, make sure that you select the proper ones from this drop-down arrow. Click on Add. Click on All Privileges. Click on Make Changes. Click on Go Back. And our database is all complete. Now we come on back up here, make sure our upload is finished. It is. Click on Back to Home. Select that file that we just uploaded. Come on up here and click on Extract. Click on Extract Files. Click on Close. Select that zip file again. Because we no longer need it, let's go ahead and delete it. Click on Delete Files. We are good to go. Now we've got all the pieces of the puzzle put together. We just need to tie them all up. And we're going to do that by putting our install URL in a new tab here. So let's paste that right in here. And that install URL is wherever you have your WordPress site installed. And in my example, I'm installing it on the root directory. If you had it in a subdirectory, then it would be your domain name / the name of your subdirectory, like blog or members or whatever, / wp-admin / install.php. Then hit enter. Then you select the language you want your WordPress site to be in. Then click on continue. Tells you some information you're going to need here to tie your database into your WordPress installation. This is the stuff we just gathered a second ago when we created our database. So have that ready. Then click on Let's Go. Enter that information in here, and more times than not, the database host will be localhost. If you're not sure, contact your hosting service, or you can just leave it alone and give it a try. And if it gives you an error message, then you'll know to contact your hosting service. And as far as the table prefix for your database, like it says here, if you're going to be running multiple WordPress installations on the single database, you want to change this. And this can be a security issue as well, since most hackers know that the table prefix is WP_ by default. It might give them a leg up on being able to break into your site. So another reason to change that up. But for the sake of this video, it being a demo and all, I'm just going to leave this alone. And then once you get the information filled in here that you had copied under your text document earlier when you created your database, click on Submit. Then you'll get this pop-up telling you to run the install. Then this comes up telling you to put in your site title, which you can do later, but at the very least, you're going to need to create a username that's not easily guessed. And usually the password that's here by default is good and strong, as it says, or you can change this. In either case, you want to copy the username and the password because you're going to need that here in just a second to log in. The email address, you want to make sure this is an active email address that you have access to. And on privacy, I always uncheck this, just personal preference. That way, the search engines will usually not index my site until I'm ready for them to. In other words, after I've got content in there, I've got all the things set up the way that I want it to be set up. Then once you get all the blanks filled in and your username and your password copied, click on Install WordPress and you get the success message. Yay! Now I'm going to click on Login and enter the username and the password that you just copied to your text document. Then click on Login. And this is our dashboard area for the admin area. Now then we come on down here to Settings. Now basically we're done at this point, but if we come on down here to Settings and go to Reading, right here is that box that you want to untick whenever you're ready to have the search engines come and index your site. Because whenever I unticked that box on the install process, it automatically checked this box. Because this says discourage search engines, so if you want to discourage them, make sure that box is checked. But whenever you want to encourage the search engines, come on back in here and uncheck that box, click on Save Changes, and you're ready to rock and roll. And that is how you can manually create a WordPress site. Thanks for watching, and you have a great day.